The remains of 282 of the 298 people killed on Flight 17 are now in two refrigerated train cars, and they are finally en route to a city under the control of Ukraine's central government. That city is called Kharkiv. This information coming from the Dutch Prime Minister, Mark Rutte. He said the train could take as long as 12 hours to get there. Once they get there, they'll be loaded onto a plane that will take them to Amsterdam, which is, of course, where their plane took off a full 4 days ago. So that should be comforting news for the families waiting for those remains. Not good news, of course, for the 16 who have yet to be found. Yeah. The other news we have is that the two black boxes of Flight 17, according to the Dutch Prime Minister, have been handed over to Malaysian investigators. That was in the city of Donetsk. It happened in the last couple of hours. Of course, investigators have been waiting for those black boxes for a very long time to try and figure out what happened.
Ryan, as I mentioned, you're in Brussels. Foreign ministers from the European Union are scheduled to meet on sanctions against Russia. What can we expect?
Well, perhaps more sanctions. So the British Prime Minister has been speaking very tougher than at any point since this crisis in Ukraine began. The Germans have been talking tough to a certain extent. But remember, the EU has 28 countries, and whenever they make a decision, they have to do it unanimously. There are some countries like France, Italy, Austria, that have been concerned what it might mean for their own economies and if there's retaliation. Even the Dutch, we understand, are a little bit concerned about ratcheting up sanctions tomorrow, jeopardizing the recovery effort. So another meeting of EU officials has already been called for next week. It is possible that we may have to wait until then, until we get some sanctions with some real teeth, but there's a feeling that something has to be done tomorrow.
Ryan, how has Russian President Vladimir Putin reacted to the pressure from the U.S. and the EU, especially following the plane crash?
Well, initially, his reaction was perceived to be wholly inappropriate and lacking by Western leaders. But he did come out with a statement late last night where he said that security must be provided for international investigators. They must all be allowed to the site. And he also said Russia's going to use its influence to make sure that the fighting ends and that diplomatic means sort of take the day. That statement should have been really welcome, but he also said that no one should use this crisis and the tragedy of Flight 17 for political gain. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that his actions just don't jibe with his words.
Right.
So he still does have a chance to try and avert what looks like, you know, increasing isolation for Russia.